Equals September 7th, 1940. The first great wave of the Blitz. The sky above the Thames looked aflame, crimson clouds glowing over docklands already torn apart. 11-year-old Billy Cartwright clutched his mother's hand as the distant hum of engines thickened into a monstrous roar. "Keep close, love," she whispered, guiding him past shuttered shops and sandbagged corners toward Bethnal Green Station. The air quivered under the stuttering bark of anti-aircraft fire. From above came the whine of falling payloads, then the dull, rolling thunder of impact. Smoke curled through the streets, acrid, choking, as constables shouted for families to take cover. Billy looked back once at the skyline. St. Paul's stood distant and defiant, haloed by flame, and then followed his mother down the worn stone steps into the underground, into the damp air where London's pulse retreated beneath the earth.
Equals the tunnel swallowed them whole. Electric bulbs swung, weakened by the tremor of bombs above. The echo of dozens of footsteps merged with the rumble of distant detonations. In the murky half-light, the Cartwrights spread their blanket near a tiled wall stamped with Bethnal Green 1938. Children whimpered, old men coughed, and somewhere a wireless crackled faintly with the voice of the BBC, steady through the chaos. Billy's father, George, an exhausted docker, arrived clutching a battered tin of tea. "Still standing out there?" he muttered, seating himself. "They'll not break London." The walls trembled again, dust drifted from the ceiling. Yet life began to arrange itself amid the fear. Neighbors shared biscuits. Someone passed around an old deck of cards. Above them, the Luftwaffe hunted the city's heart. Below, humanity gathered its courage, breathing in the damp scent of earth and coal dust.
Equals, nights in the tunnels became ritual. The hiss of boiling water from a makeshift kettle, the low murmur of prayer, the faraway boom that marked another street gone. Billy learned the rhythm, sirens at dusk, the muffled heartbeat of bombs, the long descent into uneasy sleep. George would sometimes hum old tunes to drown the fear, though his voice faltered when dust sifted from the arch above. "Will our house still be there, Dad?" Billy once asked. George paused. "If not, we'll build it again. That's what Cartwrights do." In those dark hours, courage wasn't loud or proud. It was the act of breathing, of waiting. The underground became both tomb and cradle, where London's spirit refused to surrender to the Luftwaffe's firestorm.
Equals, one night the blast above was so violent it shook dust from every crevice. An older woman began to sing, a trembling hymn rising through the fear. Others joined her, their voices weaving a fragile spell against the chaos. Billy stared upward, imagining the city above, streets lit by flame, buses overturned, the Thames choked with debris. His mother gripped her rosary, lips moving silently. George fetched water for strangers, every motion deliberate, steady. In the pause between bombings, the silence was louder than the noise. Then, faintly through the air shaft, came a sound like rain, but it was debris falling, ash and soot. London was burning, yet beneath it, voices continued, ordinary souls holding fast in the long iron night.
Equals. At dawn, the sirens faded into thin, trembling notes. The Cartwrights climbed the stairs into daylight tinged gray with smoke. Streets that had framed their childhood were gone, rows of brick flattened, chimneys like broken teeth. Billy spotted a tram half buried in rubble on Commercial Street. A fire warden waved them back, coughing through his respirator. The scent of burning paint and oil hung heavy. Neighbors emerged, dazed but upright, checking on one another. Amid the ruins, St. Paul's still stood, its dome soot-streaked, its silhouette cutting through the veil of smoke. George removed his hat.
Still standing, he said softly. The city was bruised, alive, unbroken.
By late September, the raids came nightly without mercy. The family carried fewer possessions each time, just blankets, a torch, and Billy's small tin soldier. The tunnels grew crowded, an entire city had moved beneath its own feet. Relief workers served weak tea and slices of bread. A nurse patched a child-scraped knee beside a poster reading, "Courage, London." The bombers above droned endlessly, and the air itself vibrated with menace. Yet, within that dark shelter, laughter echoed now and then. Someone joked about the king visiting their hotel underground. Humanity persisted, defiant, in a realm of shadows. Billy imagined the rails beyond the platform carrying not trains but hope itself, winding through earth like veins.
George began volunteering topside at dawn, clearing debris near Aldgate. Each evening he returned coated in ash, face lined with exhaustion, but eyes alert. "Still the post goes on," he'd say, handing Billy envelopes smudged with soot. One carried a note from a cousin in Manchester. "We hear London fights on." Billy tucked it into his jacket as if it were treasure. The nights blurred together, each marked by the same trembling air, the same uneasy sleep, yet also by something growing stronger, a quiet pride. Even underground, the city communicated through letters, whispers, and the Morse code rhythm of courage beating deep in the tunnels.
December 29th brought one of the fiercest raids of the Blitz. The sky roared as thousands of incendiaries fell over the East End and the city. Flames painted the clouds red above, reflections dancing on the tiled walls below. Even underground, the heat could be felt. Billy covered his ears, eyes wide, as George whispered, "Hold fast, son." All night the bombs stitched a pattern of destruction along the Thames. When the all-clear finally came, the tunnels reeked of sweat and fear, but also of survival. The city had endured another night. Firemen above called it the Second Great Fire of London. Those below simply called it Tuesday.
Months passed. The underground became as familiar as the street above once was. Billy knew the curve of the tunnel, the faces of neighbors, the pattern of footsteps that marked each family's descent. George built makeshift benches from railway planks, and his mother organized songs for the children. Above, Churchill's speeches crackled through loudspeakers, promising victory, though that seemed a distant dream. Yet deep below the trembling city, the unseen army of ordinary Britons kept the spirit alive. Each dawn they climbed up, faced the ruin, and each dusk they returned, never defeated, only dirtier, wearier, and still proud.
By summer of 1941, the Blitz began to ease. The sirens wailed less often. The nights grew clearer. Billy stood once more on the street near Bethnal Green, gazing up at a sky that finally belonged to stars, not fire. London was scarred, changed forever, yet unbeaten. George lit his pipe, eyes reflecting the glow of a rebuilt lamppost. "We've done it, boy," he murmured. Billy listened to the distant rumble of trains, peaceful now, not filled with fear. The underground still whispered with memories, a cavern where London's heart had hidden and endured. Out of darkness had risen defiance, and within defiance the unshakable dawn of hope.